One Way Fighting.
Hello, you're through to One Way Fighting with Neill and Ashley King. This is the post UFC 260 Stipe v Ngannou 2 review. Fucking got it wrong, didn't I? To be fair, before you start telling me how wrong I was, I got 1 out of 4 wrong. I called Dillian White, I called O'Malley, I called Woodley, although other than Dillian White, you would have called the other two. I don't know. Woodley came out and fought, didn't he? But yeah, I think a lot of people thought Stipe were going to win, but it is what it is.
So, I mean, okay. So you don't want to start with Ngannou and Stipe?
Let's start with the main fucking shebang.
Okay, so right. I know it's the whole "oh, told you so," but listen, there's going to be none of that, and this is what I said. Everyone's got their own predictions, and you know, if Stipe won that decision, it's like it is what it is. You know what I mean? Everyone had their opinions and everything. The reason why I was so adamant, I was like Francis Ngannou by KO. It was just a feeling. I just was kind of like the run that Ngannou's been on. He's just been unstoppable, and then you compare it to Stipe, who. Okay, yeah, he got knocked out against Daniel Cormier. And then in the rematch, he looked really good. In the third fight, he looked fantastic. But I don't know. It was just a feeling that I had. That's what I was gonna say. And to be fair, I just need to actually make this clear. I wanted Stipe to win. I don't think I actually made that clear on the podcast, but I was rooting for Stipe. Like I'm a big Stipe fan.
It's funny you should say that. The first thing I said, and I put it on the Facebook, I've never been so happy to be wrong.
Yeah. What a story Francis Ngannou's got.
Cameroon.
What a story he's got. Okay, considering where he came from and everything, and then where he is now, all the stuff he had to go through. There was a story, there was like an article that got put up like a few days before the fight of it was Francis Ngannou himself saying that like he doesn't like to think about his childhood and everything because obviously it was shit for him. He didn't have a very good one. And the only thing that he kind of wanted was to be a champion of something. And then when you have that in your mind, and then you see Dana White put the belt on him and you see the emotion, it was one of them moments where you're like, I'm gutted for Stipe, but yeah, as you said, couldn't have happened to a better guy. So I feel good about it.
Was that the interview where they were talking about you playing with the house's money?
I think so, yeah. I think so.
It was a good interview, that, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
If I think when I put this on, I'll put the link below. I'll search it out. You know what, though? We did say, both of us said, if he's going to knock him out, he's going to knock him out early. The thing for me was, though, taken away from that, his wrestling was the thing everyone was saying improved. His striking got more lethal. Lad.
Patient, wasn't it?
Before he hit him with that short hook, he was switching stance throughout the fight. He threw that overhand and then followed it up with the kick off the same style, which was a bit like what TJ Dillashaw did in the Barrow fight. And he changed it to orthodox just before he put Stipe against the cage. And he threw a right-hand lead that just didn't catch him, and then came in with the front hand. And he was switching stance all the way through, his kicks, everything, mate. And when he took his back, he just looked like a different fighter.
Yeah, like and that was the narrative going into this fight. It was kind of like, has Ngannou learned from the first fight? And it was kind of an answer which was clearly learned. He's obviously doesn't want to go through that again. But has he got enough time to actually be on par with Stipe? And, you know, he only had to defend the takedown once. And I really do feel that played in Stipe's head. You know, it would be quite naive to think it wouldn't have. That, you know, for Stipe thinking, I just need to get this one takedown and then I'll keep him down this whole round. And he couldn't get the takedown. Not only did he not get the takedown, you know, Francis Ngannou ended up getting his back, landing hard shots. And then I do feel like from that exchange, Stipe was a bit like, I don't know what to do. I do feel like it was a bit like a, you know, oh fuck. And I think then it was kind of like, now we're gonna wait till Francis gets tired. But you notice though how patient. I know everyone's obviously been talking about it. You don't have to be the genius to realize it. I mean, Francis obviously has learned from the first fight. He was so patient, and he was aware of himself. He didn't want to gas out. So I feel like his game plan was really good, to be honest. Just be patient, look for your shots and everything. And I feel like when you watch the actual finish, it was the fact of Stipe. So he got dropped, and then he managed to get back up again. And then he landed a good punch on Ngannou. And I do agree with what Ngannou said. That when you watch it back, I feel like Stipe did think he rocked him, and then he got like a bit too over, kind of zealous, and then he obviously got caught.
It was funny enough. It was the exact same punch he landed to knock out Verdum to take the belt. It was on that back foot. He was going backwards and threw the punch, and then he steps forward to try and Ngannou just literally just whipped from there, and fantastic finish.
So good. And you know what? It's exciting as well, because the big conversation that I want to get onto is what is next. What is next for both Ngannou and now Stipe?
Before you go there, one thing I want to say is Stipe didn't look the same in the first round. He was very flat-footed. Did you not think?
Yeah, I completely agree.
He threw a few leg kicks at Stipe, and Stipe just sort of stood, threw one back as if to say, your foot's out front, I'm going to single leg it, and then that's all he did, single leg it. But before that first takedown attempt, he looked very flat-footed and static.
Yeah. I'm happy you said that. I'm actually happy you brought it back to that, to be honest. So I think there's two parts to this. The first one, and I actually kept saying this on the previous podcast. I said the weight. He's obviously cut down a lot of weight, and I feel like that played a big factor, to be honest. I mean,
wouldn't that make him lighter and more?
Yeah, and I feel like that with DC worked perfectly, but I feel like with Ngannou, he needed the strength to be there, if that makes sense. It's going in. So when they actually faced off with each other at the beginning of the fight, I was like, oh my God, these don't even look like the same division. Well, technically, Francis in MMA terms is like two or three divisions higher than him. If you think about it logically, there's like £10 difference within each division. Ngannou was like £30, almost £30 heavier than him. It's like 3 divisions. Mad.
They won't do a super heavy, will they?
No, but it was just that. I think that, the size definitely played an advantage. And I do feel like Stipe was a bit he was very calm. And I feel like he was just kind of, from the first fight, he was thinking, I'm not going to be, okay, Francis is going to come out strong. I get that. I just need to kind of chill just until Francis gets tired, and then I'll take over. But that's the thing. It was like, we're Francis. Obviously I'm not Francis. I don't know how he was feeling, but I just feel like it wasn't going to be kind of one of them things where he's going to get tired so quickly, because he was being so patient, picking his shots. I just think it's just a different game plan.
That type of striking he was doing, where he threw the double jab to the head to close the distance, and then he threw the jab to the body to follow in with the right. That was a more intellectual fighter than I've seen him in other fights, in terms of, more credit to his gym and the new corner that he's got. I just felt like it was something I hadn't seen out of him. The knockout, you expect that from him, but the intellectual build-up right through the head kick, I just felt like Stipe, what you were saying there about where his mind was at. So Ngannou said on that interview that you're talking about, I watched the fight and I haven't watched it all the way through, because when I was watching it, I was like, who is that guy? That's not me. And at the beginning, I felt like thinking, it's just role reversed. That's what Stipe's like. That's not the normal Stipe don't get me wrong, he took some punishment, he pushed through, did what he was meant to do, but he was flat-footed and just sort of, why lose all that weight? Because that's where I was going with my prediction. He's losing all that weight. He's going to be loads of lateral movements, in and out, in and out, in and out, keep that distance. Maybe he was flummoxed by the fact that Ngannou was able to break the distance down a lot better than he thought, rather than just lunging.
Yeah, I'll be quite interested to hear from Stipe, to be kind of like, because he hasn't actually gave an interview yet. He's put up a post today.
Yes.
Obviously, not really going too much into it. So I will be intrigued to think what the kind of process was. I mean, my only guess was to be, obviously full of confidence from the first fight, and absolutely, why would you not? You dominated the first fight, you got through it all. Why would you think you won't be able to do it again? But I do feel like he just relied on the fact that, well, Francis is going to get tired. Even if I can't take him down, just keep trying, and eventually he'll get tired and I'll get him down. And maybe there was like a complacency which shouldn't have been there. But all the credit to Ngannou, mate, and like I do feel like we're now kind of in the what did they say, the Predator era. Like who beats him?
But this was what we were trying to go on to a second ago. So
I can't wait. Mate.
If anybody's watching who's not aware, the interview with Dana White post-fight, he's going on about either rematch with Stipe, depending on where Stipe's head's at, and he's going to be taking the summer out because he's having a boy. So Stipe's not fighting until like September, October earliest, and Ngannou's going to want to fight. Then he was talking about Derek Lewis, who I was saying to you the other day, I'd want to see Derek Lewis have a shot.
Yeah.
It was a boring fight the first time, but Derek Lewis has just got KO power in him.
Yeah.
So it's whoever gets there first. But then John Bones Jones, as the press conference was happening, has been tweeting, sort the bread out, sort the money out. I'm game.
Yeah, it's a weird one, because I feel like Ngannou is in this situation where for him it's like all three fights they're gonna be big fights. So initially I was thinking, okay, could they do the trilogy? Because now you're kind of 1-on-1. Stipe won the first one, Ngannou won the second one. Are they gonna set it up for the trilogy? As you quite rightly said, that doesn't kind of work within Stipe's kind of timeline. As you said, he's having a son and everything like that. Doesn't want to fight until, did you say, was it after the summer, did you say?
Well, she looked about 6 months pregnant on it. He's going to have the baby and then want to have his paternity.
So
he's being KO'd. Don't they have to do like 90 days after being knocked unconscious for health reasons, unless a doctor signs it off? So I'm guessing that we're in April in a couple of days, so that's April, May, June. He's going to have his son. He's not going to want to get KO'd again in the first month or two of having his son. I reckon like August, September earliest.
Yeah, so I think with Stipe, I think it's probably safe to say, I just think, he's probably just next year, to be honest with him. So okay, so forget the trilogy then, it's clearly not the next one. I never thought of Derek Lewis, to be quite honest. I was thinking John Jones straight away, John Jones. And then Dana White, he did throw me off. So I've only watched Dana White's clip. I didn't watch the full press conference. But with Dana White saying basically, basically insinuating that John Jones doesn't want the fight and he's scared, I think is absolutely ridiculous. And like, I don't really understand Dana White's thing on it. I really don't, to be honest. I mean, is he pissed off because John Jones is asking for this money and he feels like, well, I'm the boss, I make the shots, don't tell me what to do type thing. So they're kind of in this like pissing contest, shall we say. And I think it's stupid, to be honest, to come out with comments like that saying, does John Jones want the fight? I think from watching this fight, should be moving down to middleweight. Comments like that, I'm just like, shut up. Like, you talk about John Jones, never lost. The only loss on his record was a disqualification, for people that obviously aren't unaware. So he's never actually been beaten by anyone, undefeated. He's still young, still early 30s. I don't know, obviously, how much money he's after. I don't know what the initial argument is, but I think it's stupid. I think because John Jones is threatening now, saying, cut me, stuff like that. If you're Dana White, you're literally like, I need to get this sorted because I need to get him back. Because John Jones and Ngannou is massive. is absolutely massive.
I'll put a oneer on it now. If you don't know what that is, that's 100 quid. But I'll put a oneer on it now. He's fighting John Jones. The only reason he's brought up Derek Lewis is to generate this, oh my God, he's got to fight John Jones. And he's building publicity. It's what he does. It's his thing that he does. He'll play the bad guy in it. John Jones will play the bad guy in it. They'll have a war of words. How many times has McGregor quit? How many? I hate to say it, but it's a bit like the WWE element. You know, if someone says something that they shouldn't, then maybe he won't. Or if he fails another USADA test or whatever, then maybe he won't. But I guarantee you, that is the fight.
I hope that is. I really hope that is. And I know I can feel my mates have been saying they want Derek Lewis to get another shot at the belt, and the second fight's going to be exciting. I do not dispute that. You know, I'd love to see that fight, but the main fight, come on, like John Jones and Ngannou, that is the fight to make right now, and that'll be massive. That'll be huge.
The way to settle it is, I've got one ticket to see Ngannou versus Derek Lewis. I've got one to see John Jones and Ngannou. Which one do you take out my hands?
Yeah, Ngannou, mate. John Jones and Ngannou.
Yeah,
100%.
Well, they both had Ngannou in. Sorry, I'll take Ngannou.
Mate, whoever's Ngannou's fighting, mate, I want to see. Like, oh, mate, honestly, like, from that win, his story and the win, like, Daniel Cormier made a comment about this. Like, Tyre Rocketoo is back, and, you know, he's now a superstar. 100% should be. Like, Dana White market the hell out of this guy. Like, you know, he should be massive, mate. And I feel like he will. I feel like, you know, I mean, I don't know, obviously, what he's like in the mainstream, to be honest. Like, I don't, to be honest.
Who's this? Ngannou?
Ngannou. I don't know if he's crossed over to the mainstream. Do you think he has?
Mate, I've got a couple of mates who don't watch it over the last few days. Talk about this on your podcast. Have you seen this guy? One guy's going, he's a beast, he's a tank. That's going around viral. And you know what? If the Alistair Overeem knockout, which for me was better, you know, he's got to be there or thereabouts. People will be learning that name. You know, it's like when Kimbo Slice had them backyard fights, they just went viral over like a day to 7 days. He's got a highlight reel now, and he's been in it for 3 years. Like, he's a bad man.
Absolute beast. And like, so if that, say that fight does happen, it gets announced, I want to hear who do you think, who have you got, John Jones or Ngannou?
If you had an informed John Jones, I wouldn't make the decision so quick. I'd go back, I'd watch fights, this, that, and the other. John Jones has fought in the last year, but you haven't, have you?
For me, I would say Ngannou.
Well, that's what I'm saying, yeah. Ngannou's going to beat an out-of-form fighter for me. But, look, he improved his wrestling and that. He's improved his striking. But John Jones, he had a big hiatus and went, 5 rounds with fucking over in San Peru.
Yeah.
And you sort of like, John Jones, who would you say has got the better fight IQ, him or Stipe? Stipe's the baddest man for being at heavyweight, but look at the pedigree of who John Jones has beat. Masters of the sport, your Lyoto Makidas, you know, you Chael Sonnens, you can just go on with a list of everyone he's beat. There's no one he hasn't beat. If he can just get past 2 rounds with Ngannou, because he still looked a bit
tired,
he didn't look tired, but I'm guaranteeing you, when I'm saying that was a lackluster Stipe, you know as well as I do, John Jones is going to have you working them 2 rounds, whether he's trying to stay away from you or not.
It's a different one though, because we're thinking John Jones at light heavyweight. This is going to be John Jones at heavyweight against Ngannou. So what will his game plan be? Like, when we talk about John Jones, he's always had this thing where it's like he'll try to beat the other guy at his game. So we've seen him do it with Chael Sonnen, where he was just in his face wrestling. Did it with Glover Teixeira on the inside, dirty boxing and everything. He tries to be the guy at the game. With Ngannou, no. I just know you're not going to win that fight with Ngannou. So I feel with John Jones, yeah, he's going to.
What, you don't think John Jones can outstrike him?
Do I what, sorry?
You don't think John Jones can outstrike him?
I feel like if John Jones is on the outside and he just picks apart and he doesn't get close, well then of course. But how long can he do that against Ngannou for? Like Ngannou's coming forward and he's powerful, mate. You know what I mean? So I feel with that fight, I feel Ngannou, and I wouldn't even shy away from it. I think Ngannou by KO, it'd be massive, but I think why not?
You see, I'm in two minds because I hadn't thought about it before we did this podcast. Like, as soon as we started talking about it, it's the first time. I'm saying it out of form John Jones, and I'm not saying this just to disagree with you. I just look at Adesanya and Paulo Costa. Probably not the best example, but it's the one on the top of my head. In terms of looking at that muscular type guy who, and again, not the best because he was TKOing more than KOing. But
yeah,
just pick them apart. And John Jones is that style of fighter. Although he's not making as much noise as he did when he fought Adesanya, when he was supposed to fight Adesanya, was he?
No, I mean, but that's the thing with John Jones. John Jones doesn't have that one punch KO power in his hands. And like when you say this,
when he did call me.
So this is what I'm saying. So this is what people always come out and say. Oh, well, he knocked out DC, and I'm glad you just said it there with his shin, not with his hands. This is the difference. I'm saying John Jones does not have that one punch KO in his hands, and he doesn't. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, prove me wrong. Go back and watch videos. He doesn't have that one punch KO power. And is he going to have that at heavyweight? No,
he doesn't just.
I don't think he is.
He doesn't just have to KO him, but I know what you're saying. That's what you're saying. He's not going to win him at his own game.
But this is what I'm saying. So, because John Jones has this kind of ego where he will try and beat them at his own game. That's what John Jones does. And I'm saying that's going to be cancelled out against Ngannou. You're not going to stand there and you're not going to, just stand and bang with Ngannou. It's too dangerous. So you think about it, okay, what else can he do? He obviously can stay on the outside, utilize his kicks, not get close. How long is that going to happen for before Ngannou gets it? And what happens if Ngannou does touch him, does get his hands on him? What's that going to feel like with John Jones? It's exciting, mate. And like these questions, I love them to be answered. Like I would love that fight to happen. Like it's so many different variables in it.
John Jones has been through so much adversity. The Gustafsson fight, his toe pretty much come off and all that. And
with against Chael Sonnen.
Yeah,
how mad is that? If he'd ever finished Chael Sonnen, and that fight would have obviously, just carried on and the round would have ended, the fight could have potentially been stopped and Chael Sonnen could have won. How mad is that? I wish that would have happened as well, to be honest.
Yeah, but the first Gustafsson fight was up in the air as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, so my opinion on that is I did actually have John Jones winning the Gustafsson fight. It was close, but I had John Jones. It's been ages since I watched it, but I feel like it was Gustafsson won the first round. Maybe won the second. I can't remember, to be honest, but I remember being 3-2, and it was to do with the fourth round, the spinning elbow. John Jones caught Gustafsson with the spinning back elbow, and then from then John Jones took over. But then it's like in that same round he got hurt. Gustafsson was winning the first 2.5 minutes maybe, and then John Jones took over. So I think people like, who do you give that round to? But I'd say John Jones because he hurt him more.
So yeah. There's another factor with John Jones and Ngannou. Ngannou looked a lot better in his striking, and he was switching his stances and stuff like that. but he doesn't have that same creativity John Jones has got with the spinning back elbows and this, that, and the other. And I don't know. I'd have to think about it. And you've got the fact that John Jones hasn't been fighting a heavyweight. Is that going to make him more powerful and give him that knockout power? Or is it going to... You've seen him get stacked, like...
Yeah. I am. So with the whole spin, with the whole Arsenal type thing, Ngannou doesn't need that. He doesn't... I mean, did you see that? I mean, just one of them... One of his leg
he doesn't.
Just,
but the whole thing about that, John Jones is quite elusive. You don't see him get battered very often, do you? You don't see people putting their hands on him too much.
Recently they have, though. I mean, Dominic Reyes was a very close fight, and that one, to be fair, I'm a bit like, I'm not really going to give an opinion on that because I genuinely don't know. I mean, would I be happy if Dominic Reyes got the decision? Yeah, I would be. Was I happy that John Jones got it? Yeah, that's how close it was. As in, it would have been fine either way. So he's been having these close fights. And I feel like with John Jones as well, it's kind of like people say, well, is he just bored? And I'm thinking it's a good possibility, though, because he's been a light heavyweight for years now. Cleaning the division. The only kind of dance partners that he had really was Gustafsson and Daniel Cormier. And he, beat them both. And then it's thinking, well, who else is there now, really? Even Jan, not really a big fight. Doesn't really interest me, to be honest. So now is the perfect time to go to heavyweight. Could have done it sooner, to be honest. But I feel like now it's kind of like, Ngannou's established, baddest man on the planet. Just the perfect time for John Jones to go up and fight him. And I just feel Ngannou. I feel like he.
When you say it's perfect time, this whole skipping weight thing. I mean, it happens a bit more in boxing because there's more weight classes, but there's weight classes for a reason. You fight at your best weight. You become the pound for pound best because you've done what you do in your weight class. I think now, since McGregor did the 2 belts, it's become like an almost, well, you'll have to do it at 2 classes. Not really. I don't think that if I was someone's corner and I thought you've got that big a gap in the weight and you're going up against someone who's natural at that weight, you're putting your legacy on the line for it. You don't have anything to prove in that respect. Are they coming down to your weight? No. You know what I mean? A super fight should be fought at maybe a catch weight where they meet in the middle or something like that. For me, I mean, when McGregor got beat by Diaz and he went, no, I want to beat him at the weight we fought at, that was 2 weight classes above what he'd won the belt at first. It's daft.
Yeah.
I mean, it's ego, that. And someone's got to say to you, your ego. I know it's like, if you win, it's legacy and it's something great. But that started a downward spiral for him in some sense.
I think it's one of them, though. It's like, does the fight make sense? As in, it's not just going up and waiting for no reason. And I think a good example of that, and I might get a lot of people disagree, and you might, but Israel Adesanya going up to fight Jan, it was the super fight nobody asked for. Nobody was shouting for that fight. We wanted Adesanya to go up to fight John Jones. We didn't want him to fight Jan. There was absolutely no interest in that fight. So with stuff like that, it's like, no one's asking for it. But if you talk about John Jones' example, everyone's been asking for it for years for him to go to heavyweight. The only reason why as well is John Jones put that in everyone's head. John Jones is the one who said, one of my missions is to go up in weight and to fight for the heavyweight belt. And it was during the time of when Cain Velasquez was the champ. So that idea was already in everyone's minds. So everyone's thinking, well, of course it's possible because he said it. And everyone's kind of, having these fantasies of having him having these big fights in the heavyweight division. That's why we have that for John Jones. But it just depends, I think. I mean, so a good example of people going down a weight and doesn't work was TJ Dillashaw when he moved down to fight Henry Cejudo. I mean, has that been done before, where someone moves from the natural weight class to go down a weight and fight the champ?
Yeah, I
don't think we've heard about it.
In the UFC, not so much, but
No.
I mean, you look at them. You've got people like Rumble went up from middleweight, didn't he? He was cutting too much. The reason I say Rumble, sorry, it's going off point from what you've just said, but I'd love to see him fight Ngannou if he was back in his prime.
Yeah, people are. Well, so when he was thinking about coming back, that was the fight that everyone was calling for, and then I don't know what happened, but now he's fighting in Bellator, isn't he? It's him versus Yoel Romero, but it's just been pushed back. That fight, yeah, that'd be big. Who have you got for that? Yoel Romero or Rumble?
Rumble. Similar to what you were saying about Tyrone Woodley, I don't think he pulls the trigger anymore.
Oh, yeah, I agree. I actually completely agree with you. I think Rumble for that one. I really do. Obviously, I haven't seen him in fights in a long time, but if you just go from the old Rumble, yeah, no reason to believe you can't win. But I'm happy as you brought up Tyron Woodley. So Woodley and Vincent Luque, what did you make of the performance?
You look, Tyrone come out to win it.
Yeah.
He even said his over-aggression was what got him caught. That meme that they've got where he's running back to the cage and it says there's Tyrone looking for his Bellator contract.
I haven't seen it.
You know, when he got stumbled and he stumbled back to the cage and he's facing the cage. There's just a little line saying, look at Tyrone looking for his Bellator contract. I
love the little memes, mate. That mate, that performance from Woodley, it was one of the best I've seen him. Although, okay, yeah, he lost, but he never looked as good in a loss, if that makes sense. I mean, he did. He generally came out, and you can see he wanted it. Like, he was trying. And I feel like with this fight, there's for him, you don't have to hang your head in shame. I mean, you came out, you fought, you wanted
He's
it.
Getting cut,
you got caught. Is he what? Sorry.
He's getting cut. Did you not see Dana White?
No. What did he say?
They said to him, "Look, what do you do with Tyrone? That's his 5th loss, is it now?" And they said, "But he came out and he brought it." And Dana just sort of said, "Look, Tyrone was great. He came out, he did what he had to do." He went, "But how old is he? 39.
Yeah,
that many losses." He went, "He's not making a title run, is he?" So, effectively, without saying it, he said, "That's, if he's got a fight left on his contract, there's a little testimonial for you, but otherwise, fuck off." Which I can see what he means.
Yeah.
But I'd have liked to have been told first. I'd like to have had that conversation with you.
I think it's a little bit bittersweet though, because it's kind of like, and I said this on the last podcast. I said, don't be surprised to see these big names go. If they're on losing streaks, or if Dana White feels like they're not going to get a run at the title, they're kind of clogging up the division, like dead weight type thing, that they can go. But it was frustrating because it was kind of like, it was a brilliant performance. Well, it was when it started. I mean, again, to see Woodley,
it was he put it in there. He put in a fight that I'd go and pay to watch.
I would. And know what it was? There's no shame in it. He just got beat by a younger, better fighter. That's it. No excuses, no injuries. His
legs went though, didn't he?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He got caught in the exchange, and then he was already rocked, and then he got submitted, and that's it. There's no controversy, no injuries, no nothing, no excuses.
He was like half out on his feet when that sub was when he got took down, and that sub was going in. He didn't know. He had his back against the cage, didn't he? But he didn't know how to defend it in that moment, not because he didn't know how to, but because he was still half out.
So that dart stroke, he claimed that he landed it on Darren Till, like he knows that joke, but it's like anything. He was rocked, didn't defend it in time, and that was it. This is the point though. There's no kind of Woody never pulled the trigger, or Woody wasn't himself. He was himself. He was right there, and he just lost to a better fighter.
Oh yeah,
I think
he went out on his shield, like
exactly. So I think with that one, he's a fan. You know what? He's got a fan of me. I kind of went off
Friends.
with. Well, you know what? I went off him, and then I'll be honest. During that run up to Darren Till, the way he was being treated, the way everyone was the way the UFC like executives were like just all on Darren Till, and he was just dismissing Woodley. I'm not gonna lie, I was a bit like, I think I wouldn't mind Woodley kind of putting up a good fight, and the way he won and how emotional it was, I was made up for him. And then obviously the run up to Usman, where like he's just I don't know, just chatting all this shit, making as if like he's amazing, can't be touched. Usman shouldn't even be in the octagon with him. Then he gets dominated.
Blame Dana White for that though. Basically calling Woodley this, that, and the other every 5 minutes. He's boring, this, that, and the other, and he's controversial and as shit with Dana White. I
think so, because there was I remember when Woodley fought Kobe Covington, and this was during the big whole Black Lives Matter movement, and he was at the press conference, and every question he got asked, he just responded, "I just Black Lives Matter. I feel Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter." Now, I just feel like it's a good example to use because of his approach. It's like he doesn't really articulate himself in the best way, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like he just needs like a better boxing team or maybe someone to kind of, help him kind of express himself. If that makes sense. Like he'll use race issues as an issue. So when he fought Wonderboy, for example, he fought Wonderboy, and he brought it up, and he brought up race as an issue of why he's not being marketed in a certain way, why kind of he's the least underappreciated champion. And obviously, you lose a lot of fans when you say that because to a lot of people, Anderson Silva. This is what I'm saying. It wasn't true. Is the fact of you're not being exactly. And I feel like he just lost a lot of fans with that, with his excuses of like, I just wasn't there, something was happening mentally with me. I don't know. It was just all the excuses that just went off him. But then in this fight, I was a fan again.
That first point to the Black Lives Matter thing, I can see it from 2 points of view. As a role model in that, you're in a position where you can sway people to what you believe is the correct thing, which I appreciate, and that's fine. I see it from another point of view. Dana White, imagine Dana White didn't own the UFC and he was, let's say, a fucking accountant, owned an accountant's firm, and you were doing a Zoom meeting, and every time they asked you about the fucking tax figures, you went Black Lives Matter. That's not what we're here for. So I can see it from that point of view. I also see it from my point of view. I watch the news. I don't need to fucking hear it off someone else. I know what's happening in the world. So I've paid me fucking pay-per-view to watch fucking fighting, and here you call them a bellend. So it's a hard one to talk about really, because you've got pros and cons with it, and I wouldn't want to touch a large pole.
But that's the thing. But that example that you just gave, then I think is fantastic, and I was actually going to use the same example of what you just said. No, I'm happy you said it because it's perfect. Where you're saying exactly, mate. If it was in a working environment, and I'll use the example that you just said. You're in a Zoom meeting with your manager or whatever, and they're asking you questions, and all your responses, Black Lives Matter. This is what I'm saying. It's his approach. The ideology behind what he was doing was fantastic. I've got no issues with that. Absolutely not. It was a serious subject, and I'm happy he's speaking about it. But it's the way you go around it. He just does things to rubs people the wrong way, if that makes sense. Doesn't do things like
the thing is, there's certain people out there that don't see it as he's rubbing you the wrong way, because the way the idea is it's such a topic that's not being talked about. They've got to push it in your face in order for you to. Because if you just said it once and say, just by the way, I'd like to take a second to mention this, would have even made the fucking news? If all his responses were that, I see what he was doing, but again, I also see why people aren't happy about it. So,
But it was the way though, because he left himself and basically no room for maneuver. You start the first three questions that he got asked: Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter. You then put the them like the media in a situation where, well, what do we do? Like we can't like I'm just I'll ask him anything and he's just gonna say Black Lives Matter. There's no I feel like he should have just handled it better. Black Lives Matter, and then go into it, explain why, explain his own personal reasons as to why. It's like Black Lives Matter. That's it. There's no substance to it. Like go into detail. It's just this is just like a short example of how Tyron Woodley rubs people the wrong way. Of why kind of and I'll bring up the excuses as well when he loses these fights and he just has all these excuses. It's like this feel sorry for me attitude. So I was just saying, in this fight, I was happy because there was just none of that. And that's not the narrative. It was the fact that if he went out, there's no excuses, and he just lost to a better fighter, and that's it. That is it. So, in regards to the future, I agree with that. He's what, late 30s, coming up to 40s. He ain't going to fight for the... He's what, sorry?
39, Dana White said. Sorry, can you not hear me?
39. No, yeah, 39. So, yeah, he's not going to make another run at the belt, is he? So you question it, thinking, what do you want next? Is it just money or what? You've got other kind of ventures, stand-up comedian. I know we joked about it, but singer, rapper, and all that.
But you're paying 30 quid for his show, and he comes out and says Black Lives Matter, then just gets off.
I know, yeah, 30 minutes straight, and I love it. I'll probably pay for it because it's Tyron Woodley. You know what I mean? I'll do it.
You step up from Brendan Sharp.
Oh, mate, I love Brendan Sharp. But okay, so what about the Vincent Luque then? Enough about Woodley. What about Vincent Luque? Big win.
Yeah, I mean, Woodley's coming off the back of those losses, but he's no slouch, is he?
No, and he wants to get in that fight. I mean, he had Luque, like he was trying, but Luque, like he needs someone now in the top 5. He deserves it. 100% deserves it.
Yeah, who are you thinking?
So he lost. So his last loss was against Wonderboy. If you look at the division, it's quite pretty like clogged up in it. It's like, so we've got Usman versus Masvidal number 2. We've got Kobe Covington versus maybe Leon Edwards. I honestly don't know.
Leon Edwards, we don't know if he's going to have to do the rematch with Bilal.
Oh, mate, who wants to see that rematch? No one does. Like,
depends what they're contracted to, though. How do you sort the rankings out after it? Did they just stay static, like it never happened?
So, I'd probably say. I think it's only fair to, like, isn't it? I think it's only fair to, because nobody won, nobody lost technically, so they'll have to, in my opinion. Like, what about, I can't pronounce his name, so forgive me, but Kamchet Mayev, help me out. How do you say his name? Fuck. The guy, I can't. It's my shit one. Kamchet Mayev or something. I can't pronounce his name. Yeah, that's the one. He's going to be coming back soon, isn't he?
You heard it here first as well. Sean Martin had the inside scoop, didn't he? But yeah, he brought another tweet out saying that basically he's going to be back. He had long COVID, didn't he?
Yeah. Yeah. He's gonna mix it up though, because I feel like his next fight's gonna be someone big. And if you're in the welterweight division, you want that fight because it's a marquee name. And we're gonna go on to this next. But speaking of marquee names, of another example of that is Dominic Cruz. Dominic Cruz is called out Sean O'Malley. And when I seen it, I was like, I like that. That makes sense. Why not? Sean O'Malley's a big name, mate.
Is Dominic Cruz ranked now, though?
I've no idea. Between 5 and 10, I'd say.
Yeah, I was thinking that, yeah.
I'd say so.
The problem with Dominic Cruz was he had so many injuries. The latter years, the prime years of his career were sort of lost to some degree.
Yeah.
Did you see him on Joe Rogan when he's going on about the plantar fascia he had in his feet?
Yeah, like he couldn't really. He basically had to crawl.
Couldn't get out of his
Had to
bed.
crawl.
Yeah.
Yeah,
With
yeah. The
Dominic
injuries that he got.
Cruz, I feel he's on the tail end now, and it's a sad state of affairs because I was a big fan. I loved his style. I feel like Sean O'Malley's going to take that. I want to say Dominic Cruz, but I feel like Sean O'Malley takes that.
By TKO or decision or submission? How do you see it playing out? How do you think he will?
TKO.
Do you reckon, yeah, TKO? I'd be interested. Do you reckon if that fight does get announced, I think they should make it a 5-rounder. I think they should give Sean O'Malley a main event. Not obviously not on a UFC pay-per-view, obviously not, but like a UFC Fox or something, or yeah, like a fight night. Give them that. Are they
going to do that though? Because Dominic Cruz just fought on the undercard on the prelims.
So that is a different comment. So okay, in regards to placement of fights, because I've been quite interested in regards to like where they place the fights. I know it sounds boring, by the way, but it does intrigue me because it's like just because you're on the prelims doesn't mean like you're shit or anything like that. They'll use it as a way to kind of like draw the people in. So, for example, a lot of the times they'll have Sean O'Malley as a main event, but he's the main event of the prelims. It's like its own main event. And they did that with Dominic Cruz. And it works. It does work, like, because if you're maybe like a bit of a, you're not really that into MMA, or maybe you're half-far, but you know who Dominic Cruz is because he's been in it for years, you'll tune in to watch that fight. You'll be like, oh, that's a really good fight. I'll stay on and watch the rest. You know what I mean? And that's how you get the views in. So I quite like the way they do it, to be honest.
I think a lot of it's to do with the time difference in the different parts of the world that they're doing as well. The prelims tend to be on around about 11 o'clock. And if it wets your taste buds for the main event, then doesn't it, to stay up and watch it and do the pay-per-view rather than catch it on YouTube the next day? Yeah, so they'll
do it purposely. So I feel, I mean, Sean O'Malley is actually a good example if you talk about him. So they've started to use now on pay-per-views, but like obviously never the main event, and he wasn't meant to be the co-main. He was never the co-main. I've seen this one, but I think he was meant to be like one of the first fights on the main card. But it's that for a reason, because he's quite popular now, got quite a lot of fans behind him. So you'll watch him, like the first fight on the main card, and then it just makes you kind of like, okay, I'll just watch the rest then. It's just a marketing technique, isn't it? But it used to get a bad stigma if people were like, "Oh, I'm gonna beat you and send you back to the prelims." Doesn't really work that way now, I don't think.
Yeah. What did you think of the O'Malley Almeida fight? The walk off and then the nearly walk off.
Yeah. So first of all, I mean, Thomas Almeida, like, he brought it. I mean, he looked. I think he looked really good. Like, he looked like he wanted it. He looked composed. He looked calm. Like, taking that head kick. Like that first kind of walk off, took that really bad head kick, and
80.
And he still, and he didn't quit though. I feel like a lot of people would have just quit, but he just never kept it. Like, he wanted it, and I feel like that makes Sean O'Malley look better as well, because this wasn't just a guy who's on the end or anything like that. Like, Thomas Almeida wanted it, like, and just couldn't do anything.
I don't think it even wobbled him. Did you see him when he went? It knocked him down, like you pushed someone down or took his center of gravity off. Because when he went to the cage, I watched it about 5 times. He just looked completely compass mentis, and he just went. And O'Malley was walking off because the force of the kick knocked him over. And when you watch it back, it looks brutal. But it must have caught him like on the gum shield or something.
Yeah,
it hit him on the button by the look of it, but it just didn't do anything to him. And then obviously in the second round, or the third round, wasn't it?
Third round it was, third round. What did he catch him with? Was it? I can't remember what he caught him with, to be honest. But that punch then,
it was a couple of punch
was it an uppercut? I can't remember.
No, it wasn't an uppercut, I don't think. To be honest with you, mate, it was yesterday I watched it. It was a nice little combination. He put him down, didn't he? And then again, he went to walk off. And when he was on the deck, he just strolled over because the ref didn't stop it, and then just boom, that was it, he was out. But he strolled.
Yeah, I feel like that. I mean, that's a massive win, and I feel like with him it's kind of like, well, what's next? And I feel like now Dominic Cruz has kind of called them out. I'll be honest, I'm swaying towards that fight, and I don't see why not. Really.
Yeah,
that'd be a good fight.
I like Sean O'Malley. I like Thomas Almeida. I like Dominic Cruz. It's sad that I think he was that's his 5th loss as well, Almeida. So we discussed in the last podcast, and you know he's younger than Woodley, so there's a potential they could keep him on in that sense and maybe drop him down the rank further than he already is.
It's weird, because I feel like it's just a case by case. I mean, Carlos Condit, was he on I'm sure he was on like a 4 or 5 fight losing streak at one point, but he still kept him, and now he's on a 2 fight winning streak. I honestly just don't know. I mean, it's the level of competition. It's like Woodley, he's not fighting nobody. Like, look at the people that he's lost to, like, former champions, title contenders. These are top 10 level guys, dangerous guys. So, I mean, what happens if you give him maybe like this is just like a random thought, but maybe like a Matt Brown next? I mean, I feel like Woodley beats Matt Brown. So what if like they give him that fight, he wins that fight, he's still in it? I don't know.
Is Matt Brown not retired again?
I've no idea. I know his last fight was against what was his name? Carlos Condit. Yeah, he lost that one. But didn't Dan Hardy call him out? Because Dan Hardy's looking to come back now, isn't he?
Yeah, but he's not allowed in the UFC anymore after having an argument with a woman. I don't know what that argument was about, but it got him sacked.
Yeah, I don't know. But he's not allowed to
or something.
Is that what it was?
I don't know. He must.
Sounds all right.
To me, it sounds like some sort of sexual harassment or some sort of cancel culture. They're the two things I can imagine get a sack. Yeah. Or he's just being really super aggressive with it.
I think that because he has actually spoke about this, and he said he disagreed with something, but instead of doing it on a one-on-one basis, he did it in front of a lot of people, and obviously it was obviously quite embarrassing for the other person.
Gross, type thing.
Yeah. But I feel like so he wouldn't be allowed to kind of do any broadcasting, but he's still under contract with the UFC though. As a fighter, I'm sure he is. He submitted because he was going back and forth with Matt Brown, and he submitted 2 names. He said, and you're one of them. So he said Matt Brown and was it Nick Diaz? I don't think he's gonna get, like, let's be honest, but you never know.
Yeah, I personally like Dan Hardy. His breakdowns are good, very consistently. They're sort of entertaining to watch for me, like, because I like that technical aspect. But
yeah,
I don't know. He's got his own podcast and that going on. Do you really see him fighting again?
I believe if he wants it, then absolutely, because he's obviously not doing it for money. He's just doing it because he wants to, and he probably just misses it. Because he had that problem with his heart. It was like a wolf. It was like a wolf heart, wolf syndrome or something.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly what happened, but I know he could have carried on if it wasn't for that. Like,
yeah. So I don't know, to be honest. I mean, it'd be good to watch him again, to be honest, to see, obviously he breaks down fights, he analyzes fights and everything like that. So I think his IQ would be like superb. But then obviously it's then implementing it then in an actual fight. Obviously don't know how we get on with that, like, but I'd be interested.
You take that much time off unless he's fighting another fighter of similar caliber who's had the same time off. He's got to start off with a few tune-ups. And I think it'd be like when you just got your first contract.
So maybe set up Dan Hardy versus Paddy the Baddy on Paddy's UFC debut.
I was just thinking we're going to have to say that. Congratulations to Paddy the Baddy Pimbletts for getting his UFC contract. Not that we've not talked about it every 5 minutes. Yeah, heard that here first as well.
Yeah, we broke the news. How do you feel he gets on, man? Let's go straight into it. Lightweight division. How do you feel he gets on? I know I've asked you this before, like, but it's official now. He's in it. He's in the UFC, so gonna have to fight someone, isn't he?
Yeah, I think the top 10 in there, in fact, I'm going to get it up while I say this. The top
Yeah,
10 in there, mate, pretty heavy. Pretty damn
majorly.
heavy, like. I think he's going to have a couple of tune-up fights because they're not just going to drop him in and have him against the top 10er. I think once he builds his confidence and gets a year or two in it, he's going to start, smashing life, basically.
How funny would it be, though? His very first fight, so his debut, he gets Justin Gaethje or something. Can you imagine that? Imagine how shit that would be. They give him, like, Justin Gaethje or something like that.
That'd be horrendous.
Mate, hey, Chris Fishgold got a Calvin Guitar. How's that fair? Calvin Guitar, fucking, big win streak, like, mate, serious caliber fighter. I know we lost against Max Holloway, but
he was the
mate,
title holder
in.
He had the title in Cage Warriors at the time, though, didn't he?
He did, yeah. But then to go up and get, but Paddy was been a champion in Cage Warriors.
But he's not the current, is he?
Not the current champion though, but like he has been the champion, and it's like on a 2-fight win streak, looks good. Man, he's got more of a fan base than Fishy. Like, I mean, listen, this is never gonna happen. By the way, I'm just saying that. What if they give him kind of like a bit of a name fighter? You know what I mean?
Wow, mate. Even the top 10 to 15, 10 Paul Felder, Islam Makhachev, Diego Ferreira, Kevin Lee, Alaquinta, Gregor Gillespie.
It made top 15, yeah. At the minute, like, stay away.
And then you go in there, Benil Dariush, Dan Hooker, DeSantos, McGregor, Ferguson, Chandler, Oliveira, and then you've got Gaethje and Poirier, and then the title's obviously up for the grabs. Whoa.
I mean, yeah. The only thing I would say is kind of like division's gonna get shook up, so you never know. I don't know. That's the only thing I can say because he's in the toughest division in the UFC. So I have
training for featherweight.
Yeah. So that's you know what? Funny you should say that because me and my mates have literally just been speaking about it before, and we what we did, what you just did then. Look at the actual division. Featherweight was mentioned, but if you look at featherweight, it's not as stacked as lightweight, but it's still stacked. Like there's still some absolute killers. So it's just like
Holloway's of the world and that.
Yeah, it's like pick your poison, mate. Like but I don't know. I hope he does well, obviously, and he could do. There's obviously a lot of fights other than the top 15. He's obviously not going to get a top 15 fighter. Like he could. You never. Hey, what if he rematches with Julian Erosa? Could do that again. Never know.
Yeah. For me, mate, I don't like saying because the proof will be in the pudding when he gets there. He's not got those fighters in front of him, but he's running through everything that's in front of him right now.
Yeah.
So you can't say, oh God. I mean, even if like Alaquinta or someone like that in that list, I'd probably pick someone like him, who's a good seasoned vet, but he's never had the opportunity to fight someone like that. If he took someone from the top 15.
Who'd what, sorry?
If he took someone from the top 15, like him or Gillespie or something like that, it'd be, Kevin Lee was like fucking 13th.
I feel like, I'll be honest, every single one of them fights is going to be hard. There's not one fight in that top 15 where I'm like, I'm putting my money on Paddy, and that's no disrespect or anything. It's just I do feel like there's levels to go before he gets there. But I think I know what you're saying. He's not obviously at that level yet, but he's not far. I mean,
no, sorry, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I don't know if he is because He's not had that competition yet. You look how he dealt with that fight in Cage Warriors the other day. It was comprehensive. It was like me fighting a 4-year-old. It was like me killing one of my kids in the boxing ring. He just ran through it. Everything he did was perfect. So,
but what was that guy's record? Because
eight
level
and two, I think it was 8-2. So he's not the same caliber, but he's got eight pro wins. But again, he's fighting a similar competition. It's just dependent whether he's actually that good. He can do it again when he gets in there. Because you just said the same about McGregor. Look what he did.
Yeah, I mean, McGregor was. I was gonna say McGregor was special, but so is Paddy. But I feel like they're special in a different way, though, if that makes sense. And this is just my opinion. But you're saying the top 15. Asking how we would match up with them top 15, and I'm being very honest and saying I don't feel he matches up very well against the top 15. I think it'd be quite delusional to say that he does match up very well with any of the top 15. I mean, I don't think he does. But I understand the fact of he's not at the top 15 yet. He's just been signed to the UFC. He's gonna get someone hopefully similar. But you do have to be quite careful with this, by the way, because I will mention this. They've got a bit of a history of throwing these kind of, I'm not going to say British fighters, but, I'm going to say it anyway, British fighters into the UFC against people that they shouldn't be in with. These tough fighters. And I will talk about Chris Fishgold again, throwing him against Calvin Guitar, for his first fight in the UFC. You know what I mean? I mean, Molly McCann, her first fight was against Gillian Roberts. Tough woman. But then again, it can go the other way.
Do you know why they do it? Because if one of them wins, they've got the new British audience.
True. That's true. That's a fair point. Yeah.
I mean, Fishy is fucking good. Molly McCann is good.
Yeah.
Do you know who else who will be going soon? Jack Cartwright, the bantamweight.
I have heard the Jack Cartwright, but I'm not.
Have you not watched his fights in Cage Warriors?
I wouldn't know too much about him, but I have heard of him.
Mate,
he headlined one of the cards. Sure, he did.
Mate, he's an odd little looker, but he's a little beast. He's got like a skinhead with a little skullet thing going on at the back, a bit like me, mate. But he bangs and finishes every fucker. Does it early as well.
And he's been signed, has he, to the UFC?
No, but he's bantamweight champ.
That's probably the next way to go, isn't it, though? I mean,
they will be signing him. They will be.
One to watch out for them, mate. I'll have to go on YouTube and watch some of his clips and stuff like that. Yeah. But it's exciting though, isn't it, mate? It is exciting, all these big news and news sightings and everything, mate. It's boss. It's a boss time.
You know what, mate? For me, these type of guys have been around the sort of circuit and stuff like that in the UK, and this is what I like this podcast for, man. You can focus on them a little bit. It was nice that we talked about all the big fights. But then to just end mentioning a few names, I mean, Paddy doesn't need his name mentioned. Jack Cartwright again. You hadn't quite heard of him, but you knew of him.
I knew of him. Yeah.
It's good, mate. It's good for them.
Yeah, but, I couldn't agree more.
What's this weekend? Easter weekend?
Nothing on this. Well, there's no UFC on this weekend. I don't think there's any Bellator. Is there?
I'm gonna have to look it up, mate. I'll put something on the Facebook page just to keep everybody interested. I'm sure there'll be some boxing or something, but
the week after is Darren Till. He's 10th of April. That's the 10th of April. So that'll be a big one.
That reminds me, anybody that's watching, Jacob Smith will be fighting on the 7th of April on ONE FC. Local lad, he's going to come on the podcast after he's fought. He's fighting Rod Tang. And if you can get him on Facebook, have a look at some of his videos. I might throw a few on our Facebook page, One Way Fighting on Facebook. Our website's going to be up soon as well, and I'll be putting all the links on that when it's complete. Hopefully sometime the beginning or the beginning next week, late next week. But Jacob Smith is there to bang, and that Rod Tang is a fucking animal as well. That's going to be a good fight. If you look up Rod Tang, he's like all his fights just chinning himself, just taking punches and that. Some proper crazy Thai fighter, mate. That is going to be one to watch. If you haven't already got that in your diary, the 7th of April. But yeah, and then the man Darren Till, definitely be watching fucking him. They're good.
Sounds like a fun.
Good fights coming, mate. Justin Poirier, before we go, pretty much signed up with McGregor for free.
Yeah, seeing I get announced. Is it June or July, isn't it?
July, mate, yeah. They're going to want a full stadium, aren't they?
Yeah, they are a big, massive one. Well, probably Vegas. Would you not say Vegas, maybe, or it has to be open? Probably do maybe California or something, or maybe Texas.
They could even do Fight Island if the bar's open. But I was speaking to some guy who I know, and he's been over to that area. I don't know. I don't know if they're going to be doing that Fight Island there or what, but Dana White was mentioning about the different places they could be going. I think it's probably going to be Vegas, that, or unless Madison Square Garden's available, because they love doing New York as well.
Who very quickly? Who do you think takes that one? We'll talk about it another time, but just very briefly, who do you feel? Yeah.
I think it's 50-50, mate.
I'm going to go out on a whim then, just without even thinking about it. I'm going to say...
before you do, I'll answer and say McGregor.
Okay. I agree. I feel McGregor. I feel like we've seen what happened in the rematch of Diaz. I know different fighter, but, you know, he's got the IQ to make the adjustments, and then, you know, rematches, he's a little bit different. But he's going to have to come up with something with them calf kicks. He's going to have to come up with a serious game plan for that.
Checking, manage distance.
You was checking them? No, it's a calf kick. You was checking them. It still gets you. It's not a normal leg kick. It's a calf kick. You can check it. It still does damage.
Yeah, but look.
So he's going to have to think of something.
You go have a look at the Thai fighters out in fucking your cow, fucking your Senchais, your Bakors and stuff like that. They spend all day, every day, fucking checking it and kicking bamboo in. Fucking strengthen that leg up or get the fuck out the way.
Though. But it's a calf kick.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's the back and it swells and all that. But, you know, when you check it, your leg sort of swings in if you get your leg high enough. You've got to be careful then, because it leaves you open to anything else, like takedowns or whatever. But you don't have to just check it straight. You can check it and then just let it slide. And with it being more the calf, it might still swell. But they're not the two only options there. You can just put it on him. You can keep your distance, and then when he's coming in, just put it on him. Make him worry about you. Throw your own calf kick. Put your hands up in the air. The old adage that we used to do when I started boxing was head, hands, feet. It'll be different in MMA because you know you've got your takedowns and everything. But the more information you're putting out there with your head moving, your hands moving constantly, there, you're rolling. That's information. They're not thinking about what they want to do because they're trying to keep up with the information you've got, whether it's conscious or subconscious. He needs to just go in with his own game and just implement it better than he did last time. I mean, the calf kicks, he has to do some sort of damage control with that. But do you remember the old McGregor? Spinning back kicks to the belly, fucking 13-second knockouts. Let's put it a different way. What would you say to Aldo? How are you going to stop yourself getting punched in the face? Manage your fucking distance.
So that was the difference. That was 13 seconds, and that was obviously a lot of back history. It's quite important to mention the whole world tour, the whole McGregor getting inside his head. So, you know, that fight, he knew Jose Aldo was going to be angry and just wanted to get in, and he lunged, and then obviously leaned back and obviously he countered. So what I'm saying is that we're going into this third fight. Is the fact is, if I was Conor McGregor, I'd be thinking, the calf kicks are easily going to be there because it worked the first fight. Yes, I've experienced them. Obviously, he's not stupid. He's obviously going to develop a plan to, counter them. And this is what I'm saying. I'm so intrigued to see what McGregor and his camp come up with. And then to see what Dustin Poirier's camp, who he trains at American Top Team. And they're going to be like, listen, McGregor's going to be, training for counters. So let's counter them counters. Do you see what I mean? So this is I'm invested in the trilogy. And I'm happy Dustin Poirier chose to go with the trilogy instead of going for the belt.
There's a million different things. There's a million different things you can do for that. Yeah. But to say, what's he going to do about it? I mean, he can just change stance. He can plan to knock him out in the first or the second and really put it towards that. He used to be Mystic Mac. I'll knock him out in this round. If he's still got the same fighter in him, then switch stances in that first round. Take one calf kick to one leg, one to the other, whatever. Constantly switching stances will put Poirier off, which means he'll throw that calf kick less. He's done it before.
Just to throw back, but this one, it really is all you're doing is obviously just throwing ideas and thinking, well, could do this, could do that, and this is why this fight is so exciting, because it's just, what's that camp going to do? What that camp's going to acknowledge that, and then they're going to think of a plan to counter that. It's going to be interesting, and I generally cannot wait. I cannot wait for that fight. Yeah.
The only thing I will say is, though, no one said to Donald Cerrone. Imagine they said, Donald Cerrone, you're going to have a rematch with McGregor. What am I going to do about them shoulder strikes? No one said that. The leg kicks, part of the game.
Yeah, but this one was part of the game. But in that last fight, it was the game. I mean, he crippled him, and that's how he got, and that's obviously how he got the finish. So it is important to remember, because in that, going into this next fight, the trilogy, that's going to be the narrative. I mean, it'd be silly to say it's not. That is the narrative. Will Dustin Poirier for the card?
You say that.
Absolutely. And then what can we do?
We just said this about Stipe and Ngannou, though, haven't we?
Said what?
We said that the wrestling was going to be the big thing, and that, and
so that was everyone's narrative, not my narrative, but that was the narrative of the wrestling aspect. Can he defend the takedown? Well, then what? But then obviously I was kind of saying, well, what? That's irrelevant, because what if he just catches him? So this is what I'm saying. These are all just kind of like everyone's kind of predictions, everyone's theories, and then you're right with the trilogy. Yeah, Conor McGregor could finish it in 13 seconds again. So can Dustin Poirier. Poirier can finish it in 13 seconds. So it's just, anything can happen, but the narrative going into this is got to be the leg kicks. It 100% has to be them calf kicks and the changes that are going to be from both sides of it. It's exciting, mate, and honestly, can't wait to watch it. Can't wait.
Yeah, I'll say right now, I don't think his stance was right, and the calf kicks were a big thing in the last fight. But if Poirier goes in just concentrating on throwing calf kicks, he's getting knocked the fuck out. He's got to go in with a bigger plan than that. And I don't think that was. I mean, I think that was part of it. I think all they wanted to do in the last one was slow him down, stop that movement, and when he's more static, then we can develop our game of just beating him down. And 100%. But to go in and do that in the second fight, the same way Stipe's done, the proof is in the pudding there. He learned his lesson. He was a professional. And even I thought, to be fair, I'm guilty of it, that, it was going to be the same, because for me, I didn't think in 3 years he could develop a whole wrestling game. It was a bit different with Ngannou. McGregor's high-level striker who got outstruck. Yeah. Ngannou couldn't even get a fucking whizzer in the first fight and fucking get his leg on the outside to try and fucking tackle the single leg. For me, it looked like Ngannou was going to have to go down to the local gym and do day one. That's why I didn't think he would have done enough in 3 years. But with McGregor, if he can't overcome that and he goes in and the same happens to him, then I think it's, you know, he's going to start going down the ranks a bit more.
That's the thing, mate. Like, you don't know, but you know that is the narrative. And this is not. And just to clarify as well, I obviously don't want to kind of go even more into it, but you know, I'm not saying Dustin Poirier that's going to be all he's thinking about, calf kicks, but
Yeah.
that is going to be the narrative. He's obviously thinking, I used that because McGregor was he's very he does favor heavily on the front leg. So with his stance, he does kind of go heavy on that, and that's why the calf kicks were there. So this is what I'm saying. This is the whole point of it. I'm saying McGregor's camp's going to obviously acknowledge that, so they're going to develop plans to counter that. Poirier's team's going to obviously try and figure out different ways to counter that, so they can counter that. So this is what I'm saying. It's just going to be who can actually implement their game plan and who's going to favor. And I can't wait to see how it unfolds. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I'm kind of worried where McGregor's head's at going into it. I mean, the trilogy for him, I think he's going to be up for it because it's a good place to finish his career.
Yeah.
He sold his fucking proper 12, 100 million something.
Yeah, big money.
If he finishes on the trilogy, people will forget about Khabib. So it's a big fight for him. Well, you know, in terms of being greatest of all time, I don't think that's there for him anymore, is it? Because he'll never get the chance to fight Khabib again. And Khabib's got the perfect record, which he doesn't. The biggest highlight reel and one of the greatest showmen, yeah. Because I'd rather watch his highlight reel than fucking Khabib's. But I think he's going into it now off losing to Khabib. He's lost to Diaz. And now he's lost to Poirier. And they were, I know he lost to the fella in Cage Warriors as well. But they were 3 fights. Well, the first 2, Khabib and Diaz. I mean, the Diaz one must have been fucking shocking. He took it well, like, but where he's going, where the woman says on the news, oh, well, we'll talk about the money. He goes, this is my bit, Nate. You can go get that cup of tea and all that. And then to lose it, oh, God, yeah, you'd be gutted.
Yeah.
And then Khabib, the whole thing.
Yeah, I feel like, but I mean, the thing with McGregor though, he's so lucky because if he wins this trilogy, he's probably going to get a title shot next. He doesn't have to work his way up. I mean, he's so popular that he wins this next one, he's probably fighting for the title next. Whoever's got that belt, probably going to fight for the title next if he wins that fight.
I reckon he retires.
Do you reckon? Beat Poirier and then retires? Yeah.
Would you finish on the trilogy having had the lightweight and the featherweight belt, or do you then go and fight Oliveira? Doesn't want that on the ground. Oliveira gets hold of him and tangles him up. It's just as bad as Khabib for me.
Yeah, I be honest. In regards to what I disagree with is the point of retirement. So I feel honestly, if he gets through Dustin Poirier, I think if he gets the title fight next, if it gets offered to him, I think he takes it. And then I agree. I think if he wins that belt, I think then he rides off into the sunset and he's like, I've got my belt back. I finished that actually on top, and then I'll go.
I'd be pissed if he did get the belt and didn't defend at least one title.
Yeah.
Just defend one.
I don't think he will. Yeah, I agree with it just once, but I don't think he cares. I think he's just like, get the belt back, and then he's like, I'm retiring as the champ. No one can take it off me. I'm just gonna go. I think that's what he's gonna do. But that's if he gets through Poirier, which I don't know. Looking forward to it though.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, I think on that note, we're well over an hour here, mate.
Oh yeah.
You happy we covered anything you want to say?
Now, you know what, mate? No, we covered all the fights on the weekend. Well, the big ones anyway. So yeah, I hope everyone likes, and if you do like, subscribe.
Yeah, and also Dillian White, well done. Great fight. I'm glad he won that and got his revenge. But yeah, like and subscribe. Like Ashley says, might be a bit slow on the weekend. There will be podcasts coming up on different things. But guys, enjoy yourselves. Have a good weekend. Don't do anything you shouldn't on Easter. See you later.
Thanks, everyone.